Hey guys, and welcome back to the ASTV Soccer Show. I'm Mahith Gamage. I'm joined today by Lisa Sansregret from the Manitoba Soccer Referees Association. They're running a new program and trying to bring awareness to referee abuse and referee respect all throughout Manitoba, and they're working with Manitoba Soccer to get that done. Lisa, first of all, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here this afternoon. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, so we can jump into it right away because I think this is a topic that everybody kind of knows about because it's relevant in every sport. You know, every sport has officials and referees, and they're not always treated with the respect that perhaps they deserve and their expertise deserves. So, can you explain a little bit about what you do and what this referee respect program is?
Sure. Well, I've been an official for 5 years now with soccer. And what we're doing for the Respect program is the MSRA has, we've had signs designed, and we're going to get them put up at the two bigger fields at the Ralph Contafio soccer complex and at the Shaughnessy Park. And it talks about respecting the referee, respect the game, respect everyone, right? It's not good when fans and players start, yelling at referees and badgering them. It just doesn't really add anything to the game, and it takes away from the game. And
Mm-hmm.
we're in a position where we have less officials. We don't really have enough officials sometimes to have, let's say, like a three-person crew for youth games, or we managed to cover most of the men's games, but it just there's a lack of referees, and every year you have refs who say, "Well, I don't want to come back." Well, why don't you want to come back? And it often comes back to the problem. Well, I got yelled at. I got sworn at. Um, I just find it too hard. It's 90 minutes of constant criticism, and the referees are doing their best. When the biggest problem that I see is our young officials. When you start out with young referees and they're doing U9 U10 games, and somebody's yelling at them, they're not coming back. Like, that's where I find we lose a lot of officials, and you can't mentor them and bring them up if you can't get them to stay on for 2 years. Like, you just can't do it. So that's a real problem.
Yeah, one thing I noticed is that like, when I was growing up playing soccer, like when we were teenagers,
Hmm.
the rest would face a lot. And I think, that's something that's obviously bad, but for if you were to expect it from any age group, I think teenagers would be the ones that you'd expect it from. But then you see like when you're watching soccer in the province from men who are in their 20s and in their 30s, and it's still happening, and it doesn't
Yes.
make any sense because it's you're a grown man. You should know that this is not right and this is not how you treat people, regardless of how passionate you are about the game. And that's something that has really frustrated me because it's just it's such a tightly knit community, and I think it's poor to be treating people from our own community in that way, regardless of how heated or tense the match is.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That I mean, and the culture needs to change that way. And part of that is when you look at the big game, right? And the big game is slowly changing. You see more respect in, let's say, the English Premier League games, or you watch a
Mhm.
large FIFA match. That that just the tolerance for that is just gone, right? But still, at a grassroots level, um, it, it's still there, and I it needs to be dealt with, because you're right. When you look at the men's games, we have some of the worst incidents, or more incidents will be in a lower division games, and the leagues say, like, why is this going on? um it's no need for it, and it's going to take time. And I think sometimes it depends on where the teams are from as well. Because it's very culture based, and that's part of the other problem sometimes when you mix cultures, right? And we used to see this in back in the 70s. You talk to the older referees, this has gone on. It's a mixing, right? And so people just have to realize that it's quite, especially in those lower division games, it's one referee, and you're asking that official to do the job of 3 or 4 people that you would have when you have a 3-person crew. So yeah, you might miss an offside call. Yeah, you might not have seen the ball was over the line. Like I said, we're people and we make mistakes too. Nobody, is perfect, but is that a reason to, hit a referee, swear at a referee? Like it's where do you draw that line, right? It is a recreational sport, and we just have to have better compassion for the officials, better, compassion for players too. Refereeing is, we've talked about this, it's a difficult job, and it's a certain personality that can referee. And it's just, at some point, people just need to calm down. I went to a national tournament 2 years ago in 2018, and I was the provincial rep. And part of what Canada Soccer Association talked to us about was you had to keep your parents calm. And I talked to my parents and I said to them, okay, there's no yelling at the ref. I don't want you yelling negative things at the kids either, because that also inflames the game, right? And then when you inflame the players then get angry, and then they get mad at the referee, and it just makes for a whole, tumbleweed effect, right? And so I said to them, we could get fined by Canada Soccer Association if you yell at the ref, and you need to sit and be respectful. And my parents were great. They were absolutely, one of the parents went to say something and the other parents looked at them and, they stopped. But the province we were playing started yelling at the referee, and started yelling at their own players as well. And because our parents were so quiet, it was so noticeable. And 3 or 4 of the parents all at once just turned to me and said, "Is that what we sound like all the time?" Yeah, it is. Because I've read them many times, right? Their children over the years, they were already U15 at that point. And the one mom said to me, "Oh my goodness, I am so sorry." And I said, yeah, it's a lesson learned, right? And for the rest of the tournament, those parents were fantastic. They supported their kids with positive remarks. They didn't yell at the officials. And I think for the first time, really, probably in their life, they just realized how bad it sounded, right? And I think people took that step back. And I know I certainly have, because I'm a coach and a player too. I know I've been guilty of not being respectful at some point in my playing and reffing career, or not reffing career, but coaching as well. And I think back to those days of maybe yelling, and it's just like, oh, really? Like, why? And now, some of my players will get excited and say, "Oh, you didn't say anything to the ref." And it's like, yeah, but because they're just doing the best they can. And, that's how it is. If you have a real problem, you go, you go to MSA after the game, or, and you work with the referee. But there's no point in, some of the abuse that goes on is it's just ridiculous,
Yeah,
So
and the parents especially, like, I think, like, positive comments go so much further. Like, whether it's towards the kid, because I mean, first of all, if the parents are yelling at the referee the whole time, the kid's gonna see that and
Yep.
it's just going to create. There's no way that's going to create a positive effect on them. So it's just
No.
it has to be positive comments like towards the players, and ideally nothing towards the ref, because I think that sends the wrong message, and kids can get stressed out from that kind of stuff. I know I certainly did whenever that happened, and it just doesn't really create a good environment.
You're absolutely right on that, and I totally agree. I sometimes think to myself when I'm reffing a game and you can hear a parent especially yelling like, Johnny, you have to run. You're not running. I'm thinking, A, have you ever played? And
Yeah.
B, quit Johnny. He's doing his best,
Mhm.
and oh, you missed the net. What's wrong with it? And it's just like, so then they're frustrated. So, then they, let's say, foul a player and, it stops a promising attack. So it's going to be a yellow card. And you give the player the yellow card, and they totally freak out on you because they're getting a card and their parent is yelling at them, and it just makes for a whole hostile situation. And I think more parents or fans yell at refs, then it does create, then the players, especially in that younger age group, are going to have no respect, and it's a problem, and it just then carries on into adult and men's games and women's games, and it's we have to start somewhere. So I this year the Manitoba Soccer Association started the Purple Shirt campaign. Have you heard about that at all?
I have heard the name, but I'm not quite sure exactly what it's about.
Okay, so you want to talk about that for a minute then, because I think it's a really good program.
Of course.
So I think it started other parts of Canada, I believe, and I believe it actually started overseas. And the Purple Shirt campaign is so first year officials get a purple shirt, and they wear the shirt so that the teams and coaching staff and parents know that this is a first year referee. And in some situations, not all, of course, but some situations, it's been helpful for the teams to recognize that this is a new ref, right? And to show them respect and to not yell at them and to just take that step back. And there are stronger sanctions against teams that choose to verbally abuse purple shirt referees. So, because those are your building blocks for officiating. And if you can't get them out of their first year, into a second year, that's it, right? And they all take the course, and it's a learning process, just like players are learning the game. Referees are learning to ref, and I think the Purple Shirt program is a good idea. And even some of the second year referees are invited to wear the purple shirt, and that is helpful towards a respect program. So that's one thing that they've been doing. So
we can go to a quick commercial break now, but we will be back with Lisa from MSRA in 1 second.
Okay.
At Super 8 Winnipeg West, we have your comfort in mind, with free Wi-Fi and free daily Superstart breakfast. We also have guest laundry facilities, a state-of-the-art fitness center, and a jetted hot tub. Sleep well in a spacious guest room equipped with plush new bedding, a 50-inch flat-screen HD TV, microwave, mini refrigerator, and Keurig coffee maker. Or book a suite with a kitchen, ideal for extended stays. Super 8 Winnipeg West. located just inside the perimeter on Portage Avenue.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the ASTV Soccer Show. I'm here with Lisa from the Manitoba Soccer Referees Association. We were just talking about the Purple Shirt program, which is given to first-year referees to sort of prevent abuse towards them from coaches, fans, players. And you said this is something that has been working, and that's a good sign. It's a positive sign, and hopefully that'll, it could potentially prevent people from doing that in the future, right? Regardless if it's like a third year, fourth year referee, maybe they gain those habits of not doing that. Perhaps that's something we could see in the future.
I would hope so. I did have an incident. I also help mentor young referees in the community. So those are the U9, U10, U11, U12 recreational games. And some of them are what we call our developmental league. And so that's out of the clubs like the club in my area is Phoenix. And then we have FC Northwest and St. Charles Force, South End United.
Yeah.
So they have the developmental league. And so it's a little more competitive than the rec league. It's, the kids that are going to go on to play premier soccer and things like that. So sometimes it gets a little heated is where I'm trying to go with that. Sometimes, not always, but I had a coach there who, I had a young lady was reffing and there was a tackle, and I mean, it's U9 and it's her first year, and the kid slid a little bit funny, and he's yelling at her about a studs up tackle. And I was actually there mentoring a young fella on the other field, but the fields are right close by one another. And I just turned to him and I said, could you please stop yelling at her? I said, she has a purple shirt on. She's a first year referee. Do you think that, right at this stage for U9, U10, she's thinking about a studs up tackle? And he was like, oh, yeah, okay, you're right. And then he did stop yelling at her that game, but I did talk to him about it after. And I said, it's just not appropriate, So that's where we're hopeful that, it doesn't, it made him stop and think about it, at least, that, oh yes, she has the purple shirt on, right? So, and it's not just for the young referees either. It's also for anybody who's over 18 and takes the course. If they choose to wear the purple shirt, they can. And because we have lots of officials who, let's say you're in your 30s, and that's when I started, and you take the course, you're not going to come back if it's been a whole year of just, of really abusive behavior, and I mean, there's always some, niggling of, everybody tries to, it's gamemanship is what I would call it. Oh, it's our ball. Oh, it went off him, and that tends to go on a lot. And I would say that's the bigger difference often between a men's game and a women's game is, the men, I call it Liverpool versus Arsenal every game, the hand goes up and, oh, it's the ball, right? Oh, ref, but then at the end of the game, they'll say, oh, you had a great game. And you're thinking, are you crazy? You've done nothing but yell at me all game. But that's not the same as abuse, right? There's a difference. Talking in a game, and there's always going to be that trying to sway you to their side of the call, but then there's just plain out, disrespect. And that's what we need to see go. The leagues are cognizant of this going on, and I find that, in many respects, they are, also trying to support the respect the referee. When I talk about the signage, I will be picking the signs up from the fellow who designed them, and he has them at his place now, and we're going to get them out to the facilities, and every league paid to sponsor those signs. So all leagues are behind, changing the game, changing that temper of the game. But it is, if you look back at the history of soccer, it's deep seated, and it's,
Yeah.
it's a little while,
Yeah, I think it's something that some kids do get from watching soccer on TV. Although, like you mentioned, like you can't quite hear what they're saying on TV and all that stuff. And nowadays they kind of keep it hushed because you can kind of hear everything without fans in the crowd. But like it's always been part of the game, and and it's just not something that's gonna change overnight. But
No.
there are little steps, especially for like the younger referees, that we must take. Are there any other like initiatives that you guys are taking within the referee respect program?
Well, right now, those are that we've supported. Those are the two biggest ones. We do the MSA does education sessions, right, with referees, and that sort of teaches you also how to manage, and to maybe, when you do have a situation blowing up, how to deal with it, right? Which is helpful for you, because if you can learn to shut it down or back out of the situation, right? It's helpful, and it's the teaching of referees in our sessions where you might learn to maybe stop a situation from happening, right? Talking to players so they don't yell at you. So hey, and it's like, no, don't do that. It's or shutting it down right away. The first player that says to you, oh, referee, that's a garbage call, right? Okay, so that's a yellow card. And I did that in a game, and I gave the yellow card. It was a co-ed game, and the player said to me, what's the card for? And I said, it's for dissent. You don't get to speak to me that way. Oh, I do. You've got to suck some of that up. And it's like, no, I don't. So I don't. So it's that sort of management of a game where, or early on the weekend, I had a young fella who wasn't happy with my call, and he said, oh, that's a, well, what's that for? And I said to him, it's a tackle. The tackle is late. It's careless. There was contact. It's a free kick. And he went to say something else, and I said to him, I'm going to tell you this right now. I said, I'm not going to argue every call with you. That's the end of it. If I blow my whistle, it's a foul. If you want to talk nicely to me and ask me what it's for, I'll talk to you. But I'm not arguing every single call.
Mm-hmm.
And that just shut it down. That was the end of it, right? But then as a referee, it doesn't help to yell at that player.
Yeah.
Because then he's just going to be angry. And then, but that's where you have the young referee who's probably not going to say anything, right?
Yeah.
And then that player is going to bully the referee all game. So that's where we as educators need to help our young referees in learning how to say no. Like, you don't get to do that, right? To say to a coach and go to a coach, and this year, FIFA laws of the game gave us the power to yellow and red card coaches, which everyone's going, oh, is that new? Because coaches will ask for a card on the bench, but technically you were not allowed to yellow and red card staff. You could get them to leave.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a cardable situation. And now, if you can't figure out which of the four said it, you can just send off the head coach. So that's a big power. And that's where, as officials, we get to shut down that part of dissent and just say, no, we're not putting up with that. You can go over, and say to them, hey, a lot of yelling coming from here. That needs to stop. Needs to stop now. And then, but that's the difference between me showing up to do your game and the purple shirted referee showing up to do the game.
Yeah. Oh, looks like we lost Lisa. I think she was pretty much done saying what she was going to say, though. So we do need more officials in Manitoba, and that's something that she was talking about quite a bit. And if you are interested in becoming an official, please just sign up. We are doing the best we can to make the environment safe for you, to make the environment a bit more caring for you and your work, and we need you. So if you are looking to be a referee, you can please take the courses through MSA. And we do have Lisa back here, so I can add her in. Oh, don't worry about it, Lisa. I was just telling the audience that if they do want to be a referee, to not hesitate, and that we are doing the best we can to fix the environment for them, and that MSA offers great programs for officiating training.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So if there is anything you want to say to somebody who is looking to be a referee or an official, what would you say to them?
I would
Despite
say
all the negatives we've been talking about.
Yeah, so I would say sign up, because 25 years later, 25, I'm still sitting here, and I love it. Like, and that's where you sort of realize whether it's your kind of niche in life or not, right? And it's a great way to be part of the game. You know, you're super involved in the game because you're the referee. If you know the game and love the game, and let's say you're not, well, for the young ones, I mean, to be honest, a lot of the young referees start because it's a job, right? And you get paid for your services, which is great. So therefore, you need to show up and perform your services, though. So that's a big thing. But Manitoba Soccer Association holds courses in the spring. They usually open it up in January, February to sign up. And this year, a lot of stuff was done by Zoom. We are doing indoor course. There's criteria for indoor, though. You have to have refereed at least 1 year, and you have to have so many games under your belt. But myself and Christopher Golden are going to be doing that course with somebody else helping us, and it will be in person and socially distanced, and we have to break it up and have a look at those sorts of things, right? But being a referee, I have made lifelong friends. I have certainly had more positive experiences than I have had negative experiences. I did get to a point in my life where I stopped doing men's games, and some of that at the time was based on respect. And now it's not. Now for me, I feel more of a fitness thing, that I have a kind of lousy right knee, and I'm not as, men. The special, well, we have fitness testing and things like that, right? So that's part of it, but it's a community. And I would have to say that being a soccer referee has been one of the most really positive experiences in my life, despite any other things that go on. You have many games where somebody says, "Oh geez, thanks, that's great," or "Wow, we love seeing you." You have teams, it's just the way it is, right? But it's a whole separate part of the soccer community, and we're a vital part of the soccer community. And I'm not ready to trade my whistle in yet. So if you're looking to do it, I would say certainly sign up and take the course and come out. There's lots of mentorship now, and lots of people to help you along the way.
All right, Lisa. Well, thank you so much for joining me on the show. It was a real pleasure.
Oh, well, it was great to be asked to do this too. And certainly I would say the game is changing and evolving, and we're all be in a good place. So
yeah, so thank you guys so much for tuning in to the ASTV Soccer Show. That was Lisa Sansregret from the Manitoba Soccer Referees Association discussing the officiating respect program and some of the initiatives they're taking to prevent abuse in the game towards officials. If you are interested in becoming an official, you can take course through MSA, which Lisa very much endorsed here on the show. But thank you guys so much for watching.